Well, boys and girls, it's that time of year again. You got a fire going. It's cold as crap outside, and we have this car inside the garage. Do you guys remember this car? I actually ran this at Mini Meltdown 2022. Had a great time at Mini Meltdown. Came second in my heat. Super close call in my heat. Ended up losing reverse with only 3 cars left in the ring because I track shotted somebody so hard that the bumper I took there bent into the shifter bracket, so I physically could not put the car in reverse. Only 3 cars left, and they're taking top 2 to feature. I was able to very luckily able to wheel this thing to a second place finish. If the other guy in the Camry didn't die when he died, I wouldn't have made feature. And great driving out there. I had a great time. So happy that I came second. I actually called my mom to tell her I made feature there. It was a very I would say life-changing experience for me, being finally able to make the features at a big show. And then I went to the finals, and I bought a bumper there. Jake from State Farm, what a tough negotiator. I bought his bumper, and I welded it on. I ended up breaking the driver's side spindle in the feature. Ended up getting about 10th, I think it was, maybe 11th. And I think I did fantastic. So I cannot wait to go back to Mini Meltdown 2023. Yes, I'm going to go back. So any of you guys want to hang out with me, I will be there working on this car. Well, not this one, the new one. But then I lent this car to my buddy Nathan Prince, who wanted to run it at one of our local shows. And I said to him, I really can't run this thing anymore. So if you want to run it, run it. So we put new spindles into it, and everything was so bent, we had to put just little 9/16 bolts instead of the top bolt for the spindles. The motor is through the firewall now. The back end is completely mangled. So it's much worse than when I gave it to him. Getting it inside the garage was a huge undertaking. You can kind of see on how much I damaged the ground dragging that thing into the garage. It did not want to go, but you know, the Walden, she did her job. Good job, little girl, old girl, yes you are. But I've already got my car ready for the 2023 Mini Meltdown. Now she's been bruised up a bit. She's got a little bit of moss on her, back window smashed out. But this is another Avalon. So we do have ourselves an Avalon for the 2023 Derby season to go to Mini Meltdown. Funny story of this one, I actually owned this car 5 years ago, and then I sold it to a guy at a Derby because our rules used to be that if it was an Avalon, it was full size, and I really wasn't interested in full size. So I sold him the car, and now the rules have changed, and now I'm able to go down to the US again, so I bought the car back. So today's plan is to pretty much just go through this car, see what's usable, see what's not. I'll probably keep all the struts and axles, but I will probably not put them on the car I'm going to take to Meltdown 2023. Motor, I'm going to go through. It did run really good, but the EGRs broke off, and it was kind of giving me some weird... Like when Nathan brought it back, it wasn't really running as good as I thought it was going to be running. Rear struts are definitely not good. Rear subframe might be good, but let's face it, I go through subframe so much. If it's still black and not that bent, I'm going to keep it. Cage has got to come out. Everything. I might actually just cut the roof off this car just because it's going to be too hard to get inside of it and everything. So we might just cut the roof off and do that. And then to get it outside, we might just put it on the back of the little electric cart because the guy's coming to buy that motor tonight. But so we're going to save the motor, we're going to save the transmission, maybe the rear subframe, all the goodies on the inside. We're going to cut away all this 9-wire and see what we can do from there. But that's basically our game plan. So we're going to try to see what parts we can reuse off of this car for next year. So let's get her up a little higher and see what we can do on the bottom side. The rear subframe looks really good on this thing. Might be a little tweaked over here. You can see the bushings all pushed over. Look at the frame in front of the subframe. That is one good subframe. I am probably going to keep that subframe. So maybe we'll start back here, taking out everything that we need. E-brake cable, I don't think we're going to save. Brake lines, I don't think we're going to save. That's not underneath here very well. Front subframe is clean AF, but unfortunately it's bent, it's bent, it's bent, it's bent, it's bent. Back here looks good though. This was a really good subframe. I ended up getting the front subframe from Josh Archibald, but this one here is actually out of, I believe, a 93 Camry wagon. But once they changed the rules a couple weeks before the Derby, saying that we could have plates, so I chose to weld all my plates on before I went there, and I think it really paid off. Like, I put this plate right in the spot where I was hoping that they would hold the subframe together, and it really did. It really did. They thought the plate was bigger than 4x4, but if you measure from here to here, it's 4 inches. If you measure from there to there, it's 4 inches. So, yeah, it's 4x4. I just cut off the tip and cut off the bottom, because then that way it wouldn't get hung up on other cars if by some mysterious reason I got driven onto another car. But, yeah, so we're going to start cutting this thing apart and taking everything that we want off of it. So, let's start with the rear subframe. This is going to be a multi-part teardown here, guys. We're going to see what we can use and what we can save, and go from there. We got the rear subframe out. I want to show you guys something. So this side here looks like a normal Toyota frame. I think I hurt my thumb there the other day, so I can't put a whole lot of pressure. But there's no big kinks. There's a little bit of a kink right there. But this subframe, that's the passenger side right there. Subframe is straight as an arrow over there. But if you look at this, you can see where the subframe connected and where the subframe connected. But look at the frame in front of it. It is all kinked super, super hard. That's why these big shows, these big money shows where I need the back end to really hold together, I like having a good rear subframe. That's the good news, is that the subframe was super clean. The bad news is it's kinked. It's kinked hard. I don't want to throw this subframe away yet, because, you know, it still could be good. The ends are good, just the center's not good. So maybe I could plate it, just like a repair plate right over top of that, try to bend her straight again, heat her up, put it in a press, straighten it back out. Maybe that's one of the things I have to buy this year for my shop, is a press. And straighten it back out, just I don't want to get rid of it. It's still a really good subframe. The ends are spotless. For me to find a rear subframe in this good condition is very, very, very rare. So I want to keep this subframe as in good condition as possible. And I did kind of buy this rear subframe to put into this car, so I'd like to keep it, guys. But bad news is, it has got a kink in it. Maybe we will plate that as a repair, and I will paint it the proper colors for the inspections, but fortunately it does have a kink. But what we're going to do now is we're going to work on the front of this car. I want to get out the spindles, the tie rods, brake lines, basically that fun stuff. We're going to start doing that. And the struts out maybe, just so we can start working on everything else, because there's still a lot to do. But the funny thing is I have a 3/8 bolt up here, and I have the factory bolt down here. So that shows you how bent this car was, that we couldn't put a factory bolt back in the top one. So let's take this thing apart and get ready to take the front end apart and see how bad it is. We're going to inspect all the spindles for cracks. There's already been 2 spindles taken out of this car with cracks. We just want to make sure that these ones are good to save them. So now that we got the spindles off, you guys can see how bad this thing actually went. Because of these plates and where I put them, it greatly helped the front of this car. Even this plate here where I put it, I didn't put it exactly where I wanted to, because the frame kind of blew apart underneath it from rust, but the 2 plates overlapped each other, and now the steel's being twisted on itself. Come over to this side. This plate pretty much held this entire frame rail together, and then the 9-wire, as soon as you made it to finals or the Constellation, it was unlimited 9-wire. So that did there. But as you can see, it started bending up here in the strut towers, started bending right here at the firewall, blew apart the seams all the way back to here. No matter how tough you make these cars in a stock class, they're just going to find somewhere else to bend. We're not allowed any component protectors or anything at this show. We got the spindles out. This one looks okay. It looks like to be a small little hairline crack starting up there. But this one here looks fine. So what I'm going to do is I'll give these a quick buff with a wire wheel, and then I'll spray some, I'll borrow some stuff from work with a weld tester, and then I'll just put a magnet on the backside, and it will go inside the cracks, and it'll highlight where the bad spots are. So I just check all these for cracks after I run them. We're gonna try to do something with one of these. I'm not sure what. I am not sure what as of yet. So stay tuned. We're definitely gonna try something new on one of these. But yeah, getting there. Getting this thing all torn apart, seeing what we can do and what we can't do. Doesn't hurt. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut the front of the car off. We're going to make it so we can save our bumper. We're going to cut basically the whole front of the sub off, the whole front of the frame off. We might try to save, honestly, the sub's not worth saving, Zach. Stop trying to save crap that's not worth saving. So we're probably going to cut the sub here. Probably going to cut the frame right around here just to get the front of it off. Undo the front motor mount. Get the chain off. Get all this out of here. Cut the whole front frame of this car off. Maybe take the bumper off before that just to try to save our stuff, because I'd like to get it so we can start getting some stuff outside and throwing in some cars for scrap. So let's see what we can do here. So I see all you guys changing out these front sub mounts for threaded rod, and I get it if you can add plates inside the frame rails to make your frame rails stronger, but I've never had an issue with any of these things pulling out. So these ones here, I'm not allowed to modify the factory mounting bracket. I have to keep the factory bolt. You guys can see the amount of pressure that's being put on that, but guess what? Even with the amount of pressure that's on there, these just unthread. No issues at all. You guys are asking why is there fire? It's because I used it to cut the motor mounts and cut the steel away to actually get in there. Oh, power steering line is holding us up. That's all that's holding us up. Pretty crazy, isn't it? Just roasting some chestnuts over this open fire here, guys. You just want to heat your hands up, just nice and cold inside the garage. You might feel a little dizzy because of all the smoke, but that's okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut off the Jake from State Farm bumper so we can take it back next year to show them how much we actually like this bumper. Thanks from Jake. Let's get her cut off. We got to cut off all the 9-wire and all that fun stuff. Why do you have such a hard time breathing, Zach? I don't know. I use torches and catch everything on fire, and it's a very small confined space with no air circulation that is fresh. So, Jake, the bumper's off. We're going to be saving it for next year. Look at all of the cutting I had to do to get this thing off. We're going to take a small break to make sure we can breathe again. Harley's over there trying not to die in the smoke. But, yeah, let's go take a breather, and then we'll come back out and continue cutting the rest of this car off.